Hello and welcome to round 3 of the 2025 AFL season. These are my oddities for the week. If you are new here, please stick around, and if you do like this channel, please consider subscribing. I want to try and get to 20,000 subscribers by the end of the AFL season, and the only way you can do that is by liking the video, commenting, and of course subscribing if you're new. In this first clip we can see that Will Day breaks away from the pack and he kicks the ball inside the forward 50, and I'm almost certain he was only doing this to try and kick the ball inside the forward 50 and pass it to a teammate, but the wind at Tasmania was insane, and it was from the screen it was going right to left, and as you can see the ball catches that wind and gives it a little bit more momentum and actually goes through, and he kicks a goal. This possibly could be one of the contenders for goal of the year. I found this clip quite funny because you can see Libba clearly throws it and he argues with the umpire like he actually got a handball away, and I guess the only reason you would do this is if you were certain that you did handball it, but the replay shows this was 100% a throw. I don't know why you argue this, just cop the free and move on, mate. I thought it was quite a funny situation overall. As Thilthorpe takes the mark inside the forward 50 for the Crows, he goes back and takes a set shot at goal. And as soon as it comes off his boot, you can see it's a complete shank. Somehow this has come off the side of his boot. It goes as a shank, but somehow helicopters all the way around and eventually goes through for a goal. This has to be one of the luckiest shanks of all time. As the Blues move the ball down on the wing, Charlie Curnow's able to take a uncontested mark on the 50-metre line, and then eventually the defender comes there and he easily fakes the defender, and just watch the replay of how he's kicked it. This is also a somewhat of a shank. It's a bit of a helicopter ball in the end, but luckily enough it goes through for a goal there, but it's a pretty easy fake for him. Unfortunately, as a defender, I don't know what else you could do. Now, here is my controversial question of the week. As you can see here, Mansell has pushed his defender under the ball and eventually does get hit in the head. You can see as soon as he goes down, his legs are folded underneath him. As soon as he stands, he's extremely wobbly and groggy. Definitely had concussion or was possibly even knocked out from this. Ryan Mansell was actually offered 3 weeks for this incident here. So first question is, do you think that's fair? Do you think 3 weeks is about right? I honestly thought 2 or 3 weeks. The players were warned about this sort of action, especially after the Jinby situation earlier in the season, in the pre-season, so they know they're not supposed to do this. So I think 2 to 3 weeks is about right because he was injured. Again, I don't like to pay it on the outcome, more so the incident. But my actual controversial question, I want you to leave a comment in the section below. Do you think there should be an ejection rule like there is in basketball and other sports, where there is a foul that is that bad, that could cause harm on another player, that other player that has caused that harm should no longer take part in the game? What do you think? Should the AFL bring something like that? Or is that going a little bit too far? Let me know. Leave a comment below. I really liked the pick up here from Jason Horne-Francis. You can see that the ball's almost going one way. He's able to scoop it up and go through and kick a goal. I thought this was pretty clean hands. Nick Larkey was one frustrated man on the weekend. You can see that he open hand slaps Keane. I haven't actually checked the website to see if he was fined for this. I don't know if it's even, well, it's definitely not worth a fine in my books. Possibly a free because it is in the neck area, but this second one here, surely Keane gets a fine for staging. You just don't do this. This is just embarrassing, man. Stop it. Looks like somebody forgot to pay the electricity bill. I thought this one looked quite funny. As you can see, Jerry gives away a high tackle free kick to Rankin, and I guess Riley O'Brien sees it and tries to remonstrate. As he goes in for the bump, he actually gets put back on his own bum from bumping probably a stronger guy, and as Riley O'Brien gets up, he runs away because he knows it's Rankin's kick, so he's actually going down to try and mark the ball. But after you've gone in for the bump, ended up on your ass and run away, it just looks funny. It looks like you got scared and you ran away. I really hate it when the umpires get sucked into paying frees like this. As you can see, After Motlop gets the ball, he's chased down by Kennedy, and Kennedy goes in for the tackle, but at the last minute, Motlop drops down to his knees, causing the high tackle. The umpire has to be smarter than this. You can see that he's purposely dropped his knees to get the high tackle. This should have been holding the ball for me. I hate seeing players duck their knees. I know the Crows did it a lot on the weekend, so bear that in mind. I think it's for every club, not just everyone else's club. But I think this shouldn't be paid a free kick. I don't like it. If that was Jack Ginnivan, that wouldn't have been paid. I think I might have to start coming up with different awards throughout the year. We're going to end up with 1,000 awards, but this is almost goal of the year, or still of the year, possibly. The umpire didn't pay it, but do you think Haynes had enough of the ball to be considered a mark? As you can see, Richards is right there. Haynes does control the ball and brings it down slightly, but is it long enough that Richards isn't able to steal it? He doesn't make contact with him, takes the ball and kicks the goal, but the umpire says no. What do you think? Should have that been a mark, or should have it been play on and Ed Richards gets the goal? What do you think? This was possibly one of the plays of the day, the individual plays of the day. As you can see, the Wizard gets the ball and he fakes out a couple of the GWS defenders and he's able to get the ball to Gunston on the 50-metre mark. Fortunately, Gunston is not able to kick the goal, but a great individual play nonetheless. I thought this one was quite bizarre as well. As you can see, Jason Horne-Francis handballs the ball forward to Moraes, who's out near the boundary line, and the umpire is clearly watching something else. The ball's right there, but he's not watching what's going on. The ball bounces and hits him and stops Moraes from getting the ball and, I guess, taking a shot at goal. I just find it weird that the umpire is that close and not paying attention to where the ball is. As the ball goes inside the Hawks forward 50, you see Josh Word will go up and take the mark, and it looks quite fantastic, but you can see the defenders aren't completely convinced. After watching the replay, the umpire got completely fooled. I don't think this should have been a mark at all. Caldwell tried to sell the dummy on Rioli, and it wasn't convincing enough. Rioli was ahead of it. He was already lunging for the smother, but Caldwell ends up tripping and slipping over as he kicks the ball. I'm not entirely sure if McRae heard another umpire say play on or anything, or if he just didn't think this was going to be a mark. But after Ross takes the mark, he tackles him after the fact, after he's already landed on the ground, and rolls him over. And this is a clear 50-metre penalty. I just don't know what was going through his head at this point in time. With only 6 minutes left in the quarter, the game's being played for quite some time now, and you can hear the commentators, specifically Gary Lyon, talk about getting the ball into the users who use the ball very well. And he says, for example, you need to get the ball to Caleb Daniel. He's played really well tonight, except Caleb Daniel doesn't play for the Dogs anymore, mate.
We always say into the hands of the best users. So for the best way through here, Caleb Daniel from the back half for the Bulldogs is where they've...
We talk about coach killers week in and week out, and you can see here that Pryor goes up for the spoil. Probably could have marked it, but he goes to the two-fist spoil. Unfortunately, he just doesn't make very good purchase of the ball itself. He essentially just hits the ball up closer towards Port's goal, and Porter able to end up and kick a goal, a gimme almost. If you were the coach, you'd be absolutely livid why he didn't kill this through for a point or out of bounds. There's a little bit to this, and you probably won't see it in the footage, but after the ball is taken for the kick-in, kicks over to O'Sullivan, the young fella, and Curtin is actually standing the mark, the outside 15 mark, I think it is, as the ball gets kicked in. And as O'Sullivan looks to move the ball inside, he clearly doesn't know that Curtin hasn't moved back. He's actually still standing there, and he goes through and gets the mark and eventually kicks the goal. He's only a young fella, so we've got to give him the benefit of the doubt, but that's possibly another coach killer. I'm not entirely sure whose decision it was to put the Port and Bombers game on the Thursday night. It was probably one of the worst games I've seen for quite some time. Obviously, don't have too much love for Port. I do love the way they used to play last year, but this year has been terrible. Anyway, as you can see, Sam Durham is lining up for goal, and he completely shanks it. I mean, just look at the scores, 3-10. The Bombers kept Port in this for way too long. These are gimmies later in the year. He absolutely has to be nailing these if they want to make finals. I thought this tackle from McNeil was really important in the context of the game. As you can see, Akers is trying to get away, and these tackles are really hard to land, but McNeil is able to hold on to the shoulder strapping of all things, as Akers tries to fend off, so therefore he gives up his prior opportunity and holding the ball, so well done. This point was pivotal in the game for the Dogs to be able to get the win. Harley Reid had quite a nice hanger here. Not too much verticality on this, but it was a nice mark nonetheless. Able to clear the space, so he was the only one available to take the mark. Well done to him. Come on, Drapes, you got to help your man up, surely. As the ball travels inside the Gold Coast Suns forward 50, there's a bit of a marking pack and the ball spills out, and Ben King's able to take the ball and he goes to kick a goal, but somehow just kicks it straight to the defender in the goal square. Sometimes this guy is on, sometimes you just think, what is this bloke doing? That's an easy goal for him. He should be kicking hundreds of these. After the ball goes out to Harry Sharp, he unfortunately doesn't mark the ball and it bounces off his chest, and Flying Ryan doesn't take much time at all to pick it up and kick a dribbler from about 40 metres out. This is incredibly hard to do with the accuracy to get it through for a goal, so this I think could be a contender for goal of the year for me as well. I think it's incredibly hard to kick, goes through for a goal, and at this point in time he kept West Coast Eagles, well, put them in front actually. After the ball goes inside the Suns forward 50, you can see that May is late to the contest and I guess wants to make his presence felt against his old team, and gives away a very dumb 50 metre penalty and gives Gold Coast the early lead.
And in many respects, that's the underrated nature of what role he's providing for the Suns. I mean, is king.
While the Suns have the ball inside their forward half, you can see that Melbourne are too concerned about whether the ball travelled 50 metres or not, 15 metres or not, and you can see them just all complaining to the umpire, looking, saying, as if that's 15 metres, and Johnny Noble just sneaks around the side and uncontested just catches Melbourne completely sleeping, and this is not a good look this early on in the season. They're too worried about complaining to the umpire rather than trying to man up, and yeah, this is an easy goal for Johnny Noble. His first goal for the Suns. The commentator said it, and I think they're right. I think Melksham actually lost sight of where the goals were, as Clayton Oliver kicks the ball towards the goal. You can see that Melksham gets the ball and tries to soccer it off the ground as if he's just tapping it on to make sure of the goal, but he's clearly in front of the points. I think Ollie Wines proved on the weekend that he still has it. You can see how easy it is for him to fake this handball off, and the defender bites at it really hard and opens up the forward 50, and he goes through and kicks a goal. You'd love to be able to see him get back to his Brownlow medalist era, but unfortunately age catches up with all of us. As Porter getting the ball down the boundary line, they're trying to advance the ball, and the kick goes a little bit wide, and as you can see, Willie Rioli tries his hardest to keep that ball in play or touch it before it goes out, and I guess he just loses control of how close the boundary line is to him and just runs almost full speed into the fence, and those things are quite spiky because of the LEDs in them, so that one would have hurt. Saad actually takes a really nice marking contest with Darcy. As you can see, there's a huge height difference, but Saad just went early and was able to pluck the ball before Darcy got it over the top, and then proceeds to pretty much shank the kick, and then he tries to get the handball back from Hollands, and that's also a stinker. I know that's Saad's game, he likes to do that run and gun sort of thing, but sometimes take your time, man. As the Crows pass the ball around inside their forward 50, you can hear the commentators say that Tex is open, he gets the ball, and they say you may as well put this down in the book, and then he just shanks the kick. Not entirely sure if you could class this as commentator's curse, but it's pretty damn close. I've tried to slow it down and zoom in the best I can. As you can see, Van Rooyen gets the ball into hands and he just completely throws it. I have no idea how the umpire didn't pay this a free kick. This one is so blatantly obvious, and you see everyone kind of stops for a little bit, like expecting the free kick to be paid, but for some reason the umpire doesn't play it and it's just play on. I don't think Pink will get a easier interception, a steal like this ever again. As you can see, Taylor Walker's going to kick the ball and he changes his mind, tries to drop it down to either bounce it or put it on the ground and pick it back up again. As you can see, unfortunately, the ball just bounces straight towards Pink and he's able to just pick the ball up and kick it away. After Sheasel kicks this ball for me, I think this one was completely out of bounds. The boundary umpires there somehow didn't pay it. It looked out of bounds on the full by quite a bit. The breeze at UTAS Stadium was pretty insane. As you can see, the boundary umpire throws this ball in, throws it probably a little bit too hard rather than sharper, and you can see that the ball almost comes back to him. It should have been a 30-metre pass, throw in. In the end, it ends up only going about 10 metres because the wind just pulls it back. Another breeze clip here. As you can see, Toby Green gets the ball and doesn't look like he puts a huge amount of effort into this kick, but it goes through because of the wind. When Zach Williams is fit and firing, he is pretty hard to stop. As you can see, he gets the ball in the back 50 and he's able to fool Tim English with the handball and run through and eventually set up a pass for a set shot at goal. Unfortunately, in the end, he actually did come off because he was injured yet again. He's had a long history of soft tissue injuries, rather. It's just really sad to see because when he runs and guns like this, he's a really fun player to watch, but unfortunately, he's just been hampered by injuries pretty much his whole career. Before we saw Riley O'Brien take it up to Sherry and lose, and in this one you can actually see Darcy Fogarty run full speed into the back of the ruckman, and you can see Sherry just gets straight back up and just keeps playing. This dude is either dumb as rocks or tough as nails. I think I'm going to go with tough as nails because I really like the way he plays. But also, this probably should have been a free kick to him anyway. And I guess I want to try and start a new segment right at the end of the video, so thank you for watching if you made it all the way here. What I want to do is highlight one comment from either one of the posts or on the channel itself. So if you want to be featured in this video, make sure that you do leave comments below. But this one goes out to Marcus Power 3513 for his comment on the fact that Hawthorn scored all their goals in the second and the third quarter only, and they still won. And I had to fact check that, and he was right. So well done for him. He got the comment of the week. If you would like that to be you, leave a comment below, like, and if you made it all the way to the end of the video, surely I deserve a subscribe. Let's get to 20,000 people. Thank you so much. I'll see you next week.